back. This is Boomer Life on CL650.
Welcome back to the show. This is Boomer Life on CL650. Joining us in the studio today from the BC Seniors Living Association, our Executive Director, Marlene Williams, along with Sam Zaitun. He's the Educator Program Specialist from Vancouver Premier College. We also have Terry Lum, the Registrar from Vancouver Premier College, and Reed Wilderman, also from Vancouver Premier College, the Director of Education. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. So it's predicted that retirement communities are going to be burgeoning with growth in Canada as this baby boomer demo ages and embraces the concept of retirement living, which I don't think any of us are really welcoming with open arms. So I'm wondering, does this pose a problem for the industry? I'm just wondering where these retirement communities are going to find their staff.
Well, it's interesting that you talk a little bit about the growth. I've just recently completed a very small survey. Canada Mortgage and Housing came up with the last 5-year statistics on senior housing in the in housing in BC, not just senior. But we've broken that down a bit further, and we've just come up with some statistics that said in the province of British Columbia in the last 5 years, the independent living and assisted living housing has increased by 20%.
Wow.
And then we took that one step further and we looked at all the developments that are either currently under construction or plans are being developed and permits are being requested by cities over the province of BC. And within the next probably 3 to 5 years, again, it's going to increase by another 15%. So that's a lot of industry for this province and a lot of communities being built. The average size of those communities are from about 75 suites to 140 suites. So correct me if I'm wrong here, Sam, but that would mean that each of those communities would have to house about, 150, 200 staff members?
Approximately.
Yeah.
Close to the 150 mark, yes.
Wow.
And in addition to the statistics that Marlene mentioned, the Government of Canada estimating that by the year of 2030, approximately 1/3 of the country going to reach the 65 or going to become a senior. So exploding is the right word.
Exploding,
and,
yeah.
And having the right services and the right environment to make sure we give them any service that they need.
Available.
So
how proactive to actually do those studies now and have that research now to know what you're dealing with, like in the future, so you can prepare for it?
Well, I think the industry is preparing for it now, but I think what we may or may not be prepared for, which is why we're the association is going in the direction we're going, is trying to get people interested in the industry. And it has taken a little bit of a change probably over the last 5 years, maybe 6 years, where the retirement communities are now looking to the hospitality industry to bring their staff over. It started with
sort of a natural transition, though.
Yeah, it started with the chefs, okay, because a lot of the retirement communities that were being built wanted to provide the quality of food, nutrition, and service that is being offered in some of the retirement communities. And then it went to the general managers because they thought, okay, if you've ran a hotel, there are some significant difference when it comes to seniors and aging and a possible small care component, but the general managers of a hotel industry would be fairly the same. It's now moved a little bit further where we're now taking the marketing people that are coming from the hotel industry. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to say, okay, so there was 3 large segments there that we've, over the last 5 or 6 years, have been moving over regardless. Now we need to talk about not only the line staff, the servers, the housekeepers, the supervisors, everybody in those roles, because we want them to think of, this is a career that I want. This is where I want to go because I love seniors. I've had a great experience with my family or my aunts or my uncles or my grandma and grandpas, and I would love to work with seniors. So that's kind of a direction that we wanted to start looking at, to say, it's great to say you maybe have a certificate in hotel management, or maybe you don't. Maybe you've just worked in the hotel industry and now you can graduate over to our industry. But we felt it was important, number one, for the industry to have some certificates, and number two, for someone who has worked in our senior living industry. And Sam is, again, an example of this. But now you want some certification or some credibility to say, you know what, I do have a certificate to say I am qualified to work in the senior living industry. And so that's kind of what started this whole process with us looking to do this. And it started probably about 4 years ago. And actually, Sam was initially part of the first...
That original conversation?
With Thompson River University.
Really?
Yeah,
Because
I was on the board of directors at the time with
Yes.
Marlene in the education segment. So...
And Sam wanted to get a certificate, and there wasn't one available. So he had to go to, I think you took your certificate for, what was the certificate you took at Vancouver Community College? But it was more for the
hospitality
hotel.
management or
bachelor
something?
degree
Yeah.
in hotel and hospitality management. Because it's really good to have, and it's good to educate yourself. My original degree in accounting, which is good to know your numbers, but really at the end of the day, nothing will replace the real experience that you get when you actually do your work. However, the support and the knowledge and the education and the solid foundation that you have from your school and your college and universities, it is really important for people to understand that it's good for them to have, because it is the foundation, and the real experience will help you to build that foundation to a higher level.
Yeah.
But you still need that education
It's supported by the education.
to help you understand things
Sure.
better.
Absolutely, Sam. I agree. 100%.
So Sam came and said, do you know what? Have we ever considered partnering with a agency to develop a senior living management certificate for general managers? Sometimes they're called site managers. Sometimes they're called administrator. But basically the people, that run the retirement communities, from the operations, hands up, hands down. And so we started the process, and one of the criteria that, when Sam and I were talking about, and there were a couple of other people on the committee, was we don't want people to have to quit their job to go back to school, okay? Because Sam didn't want to, and he took all of his courses at VCC for the hospitality at evenings or nights or weekends or whatever. And so we thought, who better to partner with Thompson River University, because they have their open learning division, which is all online. So we started working with them, and we developed this certificate program that is specifically designed for a general manager or site manager. Other people could take it, but the whole intense learning curve, some of the courses that you might take.
I was just going to say, what are some of the courses that are offered there?
So some of the courses would be management principles and practices, motivation and productivity as a manager, human resources management, which is a big key component when you're running a general manager, and then the senior site operations. That would basically be, that is probably the largest course within that whole certificate. It's got, I think, 5 or 7 credits to it, because it basically goes from A to Z of how to run and manage a retirement community. And then this particular program fell under their nursing division at Thompson River, because they did a lot on nutrition. What are the guidelines? How do you have proper tuition for aging? Then they have courses on healthy aging, which falls in with their gerontology division. And then they had 2 practicums that we put together. So this program was actually launched last year. It took about 2.5 years to get it up and running, and because it was government funded, and so there's a lot of bureaucracy you have to go through to get everything approved. So I just actually spoke with them last week, because I wanted to get a bit of an update, and we were very, very excited to launch it. And they have 14 students in the program right now, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it actually is.
Oh, it's a favorable response.
Yeah, because it's only a year old, and those 14 students are now ready to go into a practicum, which means they're going to actually go and work 20 to 30 hours in a retirement community. And then they're going to come back and say, yes, I love it, I want to continue on. Or they're going to say, yeah, I
not
really
ready for
liked
me,
it,
or...
but, I wasn't sure about, the direction I was going, and I thought it would be different. And so now we're going to take my courses and go X certificate or wherever they're going to go. So the interesting thing is that they sent me a list of where the students live that are currently in the program, and they're all over the province.
Oh, great.
Lumbee, Salmon Arm, Surrey, Maple Ridge, all over the province. So we're quite excited about that. And so we were very, very interested in working with them and having a certificate for the top level managers. And then we said, well, wait a minute, but they're only one person. What about the other 199 that work in that building? What about them? And so discussions started. I got a phone call from the Vancouver Premier College to say they are experts in the hotel management program. Sam had just recently started working with them. And they said, can we open discussions about doing a certificate for the industry, not management, the industry.
Sounds like a perfect marriage.
And that's how it started. And so that's why they're here. And they're going to tell you all about the program. And it's in the early stages of development, but we're very, very excited about it.
This is exciting. So Sam, just coming from your background in hotel and hospitality and the fact that you wanted to find a program and you wanted to earn yourself a certificate, is this the type of thing? Like, are you seeing your goal to come to fruition now for others, even though you weren't able to do it at that time?
Absolutely. And one of the things as well, again, I'm going to build on Marlene's points, and an earlier conversation before the show, that when I was a general manager and I hire employees, there are a few things to look for. One of them is, of course, the attitude, and I can teach you a lot of stuff later on. And the personal experience that Marlene talked about with a family member that is a senior, can be your aunt, your grandparent, whatever the case is, volunteering in your community, but also the education. Now, if I have somebody that done 2 or 3 of these things, but also went to Vancouver Premier College to start the education or finish that process, that tells me that this person is definitely interested in pursuing with the industry to maybe at a higher level, maybe not. It really doesn't matter.
That they'll be valuable in this career.
Precisely.
Wow.
And your turnover in staff will be less because they know they want the industry.
Is there a high turnover in this industry? There can be, maybe.
There can be, and it not necessarily, I don't think, because they don't want to stay in the industry, but I think what happens is they're not really sure what they want to do, so they think they're just going to give it a go and they're going to try it. And they may get in there and maybe there's not enough opportunity to grow. Maybe they don't have the proper education to get promoted or advanced, or maybe they've decided that, you know, they're living in a small community that now they're moving to a larger community and it's tough to get back into the industry. So I don't think the turnover is high, and again, Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, simply because they don't like the industry, but a lot of people don't know enough about it, and they just say, oh gee, that looks cool, I think I'll go apply for a job there, because that's sometimes what young kids do, is they just see something and, you know, say, I'm going to give it a go.
I see a lot of opportunity for growth here, and we're going to carry on this conversation, especially I'm excited to hear about this development of the program with Vancouver Premier College, so hold that thought. It's been a great conversation so far. You're listening to Boomer Life on CL 650. In the studio today, we are speaking with the Executive Director of the BC Seniors Living Association, that would be Marlene Williams, along with Sam Zaitun, the Educator Program Specialist from Vancouver Premier College. Next on board, we'll get to Terry Lum, the Registrar from Vancouver Premier College. In a room full of talkers, Terry, you just can't get a word in edgewise. We're going to give you a platform in the next segment of the show. Also, Reed Wildeman, the Director of Education from Vancouver Premier College. While we're taking a quick break, I invite you to check out their website, bcslaag4th2015Seg2. We'll be right back on Boomer Life.
Canada's only weekly radio show dedicated to the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.